Okay, I'm back. I had to take a bathroom break.
You don't even need to say that.
I
They're not going to know.
to
They're not going to know what happened.
I'm an open book, my friends. Do you have any other questions? Okay. This is Kaylee's question. It's a good question. She said, what are the biggest differences between America and Europe? I'm particularly interested in economic, political, and religious differences.
Heck yeah, you are.
So I can't answer this for all of Europe because Switzerland is not part of the European Union. But I can answer it sort of for Switzerland. So she's interested in the economic differences. Economically, Switzerland is one of the most stable economies. It's a very wealthy society, but they counter that with making everything really expensive. So it's not lavish living. It's not anything like that. It has one of the highest income per capita and one of the lowest unemployment rates. And
you basically, you can't live here if you're not making...
No, because you have to pay cash for nearly everything. You have to, you have to pay cash for nearly everything. There's not a whole lot of credit card biz going on here. So they really do it right. They make sure that people have cash to be able to live. Religiously, there is full freedom of religion, and that's been guaranteed since the Swiss Constitution revival, which happened in...
When did it happen? I want to know dates.
1874. It is true. True, not false. So, full religious freedom. The largest religion out here, and I have it written down, is 38% is Roman Catholic. The second largest is the Swiss Reformed Church. And then other Christian churches make up 5%, a little under 6% of the religions here. So
a lot of Mormons out there.
We go to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, also known as the Mormon Church. And lately we have been attending the English-speaking ward in Geneva, Switzerland.
Geneva.
Yeah. But we are making a big leap, and starting in January, we are going to be attending the French-speaking ward. And none of us speak enough French to really understand, but I tell you what, we gave talks at church today, and it was on Sabbath day observance, and it was really good. It was a really good subject for us because we go to church to worship. We go to church to worship our Savior, and that's why we're there. So whether they speak our language or not, we can feel the Holy Ghost, and we can learn, and we can listen with our hearts. And I think that will be the biggest lesson that we're able to teach our children in transitioning over to this French-speaking word.
Too. Learn empathy, and you can still serve, and you can still help in different ways.
Yeah.
But
so
it'll be a learning
experience.
Posted
on how it goes, because it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be tricky.
Yeah.
But we can do our things.
You mentioned a little bit about the politics. So interesting thing here, more so even in the U.S. We basically elect people that then vote on what we hope will be our stances on things. Here, the people actually truly go vote. So they'll have an item and say, we're going to vote on X, Y, Z, and everyone goes out and votes on that specific item versus having representatives do it on your behalf. It's
the closest in the world to a direct democracy that everyone really does genuinely have a say. They don't have a president per se. They have a governing council. I think one of them does have the title of president, but it genuinely is just a title because all of them have to be in agreement. So anybody can challenge the law. Any regular citizen can challenge the law. If they get 50,000 signatures within 100 days, then it can go back up for a vote. So
knowledge drop.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like that.
So
Good question.
I think we answered your questions.
Economic. We talked a little bit about that.
Oh, yeah.
That leads into more just the cost of living.
Because
I think a lot of people, the questions that I would have, and you're going to say bored, I already know, but it's, what does it really take to live in a place like Switzerland? So this is not going to be a, look at us or anything like that. We're just going to give you a realistic.
Not in any way. Yeah, but you want to know how much it costs to live here. I've gotten asked that no less than 40 times by friends and family. It costs a crap load to live in Switzerland.
Let's break it down.
Okay, so first we'll say we owned a home in Minnesota. Had we not sold that home, we would be living in a box.
It's tough. It's tough.
In Switzerland.
Anyway, so
go ahead.
house.
Yes.
So if you want to buy a house, you got to have a pretty substantial. It's 20% at least down
20 to
payment.
30% down.
And most homes, even like smaller homes, are at least $1 million starting off. And I'd say an average home for a larger family.
Yeah, that's not even a standalone home. That's like a shared, like upper level of a home type
like
of thing.
A townhome or a condo. I would say homes like in our neighborhood, our area. Once again, we're just renting, but you're looking $2, $3, $4 million
just to buy
a home.
it.
Rent is probably 2 to 3 times what. Like we've lived in Minnesota, it's probably 2.5 times in Minnesota. Arizona, it's probably 3 times.
So you're looking, from the research I've done and looked at, and I've done a ton because we had to find a place to live, but you're roughly paying over $1,000 per bedroom. So if you have a 4-bedroom house, it's probably going to be around $4,000 a month. If you have a 6-bedroom house, you're going to be paying at least $6,000, but probably more like $8,000 a month in rent. Another thing that we weren't really aware of before we committed to the job, which is fine. It was probably good we weren't aware of it, and good we sold our house. But when you come into a rental situation here, you have to come in with 3 months of rent as a deposit, and you don't get that until you move out. So if your rent, let's just make it easy, if your rent is $5,000 a month, you have to come in on the first day of your lease with 20,000 francs. And 15,000 of that goes into a deposit that you don't get to touch, and then the other 5,000 goes for the first rent. Yep. So that's just to make it easy. Then of course it goes up or down from there.
Cars, I'd say they don't really do car loans here. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can get it, but it's basically $1,000 fee and then a 5 to 9%. And it's not like a loan where you go to a bank. None of the banks would do loans. You have to go through another person that basically buys it, and you're basically paying them as if you're leasing it. And at the very end of it, then you could pay it off. But I would say cars, a new car is crazy expensive. So the new cars, for like a family of ours, they were all at least 6 figures. Older cars, because a lot of Swiss don't like older stuff, they're actually very affordable. Yeah. I would say maybe even cheaper than in the U.S. for some of them.
Maybe.
So more affordable that way.
Regular day-to-day stuff for a liter of milk, because we don't do gallons and things like that here. For a liter of milk, it's about, if we were to do it in U.S. dollars, it'd be about $3.50. So a gallon of milk would be twice that. So
make it simple.
You're roughly paying twice as
groceries,
much.
You're 50 to 100%, so almost double to be safe on what you'd be paying in groceries. Yeah. On what other cost of living stuff? Insurance. You don't do health insurance through your company, so you do it separate from the company directly with the different places there. Here's the other big thing that was an aha to us. They don't do like your income, your pay. They divide it by 13 increments. Mm-hmm. And you only get 1/13 per month. Now, for the math geniuses out there, you only get paid once a month, but it's not 1/12. So we kind of did our initial budget thinking that it was 1/12. Oh, it's 1/13, because the reason why is in December, you get that 13th payment.
But you also have taxes due. So
they're smart.
They're like, I know you can pay taxes because we just gave you another paycheck. So go ahead and
once
pay
again, Swiss, paycheck. I'm going to force you to do what's better for you anyway.
It's very clever. Very clever. Okay. Good question, Kaylee. Oh, okay. So Clede Taylor said, school. Do your kids like it? That's a school. Do any kids like it? Yes and no. So I think we've talked about before. Our kids go to an all French speaking school. When we moved here, we gave them the option. Before we
debated it many times too.
It wasn't an easy decision. We had the option of doing international school for our children, which is all English speaking, or putting them right into a local school where it's only French speaking. And we fasted about it, and we prayed about it, and we talked to lots of people who had done it or not done it.
And it was both, because you want to talk to people that did it and liked it and didn't like it, and then people that didn't do it and liked it and didn't like it, so that you can try to get the full spectrum.
So we talked to tons of people, and ultimately we all made the decision, even the children, to put them into a local school, which is French speaking. So I fully anticipated that there would be a lot of tears and a lot of frustration and not wanting to go to school. But I did tell the kids, I said, worst case scenario, school sucks every single day, but every day you come home for 2 hours in the middle of the day for lunch. So what's the worst case scenario is that I can love on you for 2 hours in the middle of the day and give you a pep talk, and you go back to school. We have been shocked at how much they've been okay at school. Now I will say the hardest part of school has been the bus schedule. Our children ended up at full-fledged strangers' houses for like the first 2 weeks of school. They didn't have cell phones, and they just wouldn't come home on the bus, and we wouldn't know where they were, and that was awesome.
It's cool. Which is probably not scary to be in a new foreign land and not be able to say anything to somebody. They're learning.
So
they
nice.
were sweet. We actually met some friends too. You got free chocolate out of it too. They went to one of the homes of a chocolatier.
Yeah, she was a chocolatier who studied in Belgium, and she's amazing, and she's made a friend. I love her.
Yeah, pretty amazing. One other thing too, though, when you think of school, remember back, what did you learn in school? And you learn a lot of book stuff, which is very important. But you also learn a lot of social skills. And the third thing that we really thought that they needed is just to learn empathy.
Yeah.
Imagine, what it's like to be in a place where you're the odd person out, you don't understand. The lessons that they're learning on empathy, to where, anytime that they have somebody new or they see someone that needs some help, I've seen a big change in them realizing once you feel it yourself. So, there's pluses and minuses, but I'd say that's a huge benefit. That's tough, but they're learning.
10-year-old Hunter told me the other day, he said, I will be forever changed because of this experience. He now knows what it's like to really, really, really not fit in, and to really stick out because you don't speak the language, and to really be confused all day. And he really knows that he can do hard things, that he can still be okay, and that he's never really alone. And he will treat people different from here on out. This has changed.
Because he even said, hey, I'm going to be able to be such a good helper when there's somebody new and teach them, how to speak and whatnot.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Next question.
Next question. Okay.
This is the last one of this episode.
Did we already answer this one?
No.
I feel like we did on another thing. Okay, maybe we didn't. Kendra asks, I want to know what keeps you busy these days. Do you notice a different pace of life in Switzerland versus back in the States? Okay. What keeps me busy is I am a taxi mom. I take the kids to and from school. That's not true. I take them to school and Joe to work. And then guess what? Swiss Ma comes over. We'll tell you about her in a minute. And she watches my babies while I take everyone to school. And then she takes the kids to school and picks them up. And she's so great. So what keeps me busy is just tidying up the house, making the kids lunch every day because they come home for 2 hours, taking care of the littles. So really just the same things as in the United States. Total different pace of life here. It's much slower. It's not run from one event to another, to another, to another. It's a lot of carpooling, but it's not constant activities like it is in the United States. In fact, on Wednesdays, the kids only have half of a day of school. So they only have school until 11:20 in the morning. And the rest of the day is for extracurricular activities. So that makes it so that they can do all their extracurricular things without it being at nights during the week where they're missing dinner with the family. Because Swiss are very family oriented. They're all about making sure the men are home. The grocery stores are closed at 7 o'clock. They want to make sure family is the center of everything. So it's a lot slower pace of life.
And they enjoy the people aspect more, I'd say. Like, for example, lunches are so much longer because it's about talking and, at work they'll go 2.5 hours sometimes. And it's completely fine because it's part of the culture here.
Yeah. The last part of the question is, are there any foods you can't get there that you're dying to get your hands on? Yes.
Oh, yo quiero Taco Bell.
Joe and Hunter miss Taco Bell.
Almost daily, I think of Taco Bell, and I miss it.
That must be really hard for you.
A little too soon.
Okay. Crystallite Energy. That does not exist here.
You've got plenty of Crystallite Energy, but you stocked up.
I did.
That's like our bartering. That's our monetary exchange.
You can come stay with us in Switzerland as long as you bring me Crystallite Energy. Another thing is Jif Whips. They don't have a lot of peanut butter here.
Oh, that's right.
So Jif Whips, if you have not tried the chocolate kind, You're really missing out.
On top of rice cakes, which
So good.
used to be like gross. That rice cake with Jif Whip is delicious.
So good.
I'm missing big burgers. That's one thing that I miss.
Oh.
I miss like a big juicy burgers. They're not big into protein here, unless fish, but I don't like fish.
They're big into protein. They're also big into making it really expensive. So we bought like
Maybe
a
that's
little
why.
thing of hamburger, and it was like 25 francs, which is like $25. That was awesome. So we're going to pause. We're going to be back with more of your questions.